And we're back from that commercial break.
Yeah. During the commercial break, we definitely have some updates. The lamp was actually found in Hype Cave, the Dark World Hype Cave. So definitely some hype in there. And apparently the hook shot was in the Peg Cave to the right of the Village of Outcasts. So I think just Rick has the hook shot, not DSpags. So
Oh,
oh
Fire Rod and
yeah,
Spectacle Rock Cave.
I
That's a
yeah oh. Nice simultaneous ooh right there, by the way. But yeah, getting that hook shot, I think is definitely again, it's still way too soon to call this yet, but
I need
very
to
good.
correct ourselves. It's the ice rod. It's not the fire rod. So
It is a rod, and Turtle Rock seems to be a pendant, or not pendant, crystal. So that will be needed for this particular seed anyway. So
yep, looking at it, it does look like the other pendant is in Pod. Meanwhile, the 5-6 crystals are Thieves Town, which both of our runners have already done, and Ice Palace.
another very interesting thing is sword yet.
Well, the tournament record up to this point in time is 97 minutes without a sword. I actually had to call that match, so I'm really hoping I'm not a jinx here.
Yeah. Oh
And
no.
there we go. Commentator's blessing.
Oh, there's a first time for everything. They also have the red mail too, so defense will be pretty nice for the rest of the seed, I think.
Absolutely. And there's the fire rod. Pags
Okay.
pulling it out of the dark room and
Mm.
Pod.
Honestly, it might not be too long before Rick checks out that location because in version 26, there does seem to be a bias towards items being in dungeons. So it's honestly never a bad idea to give all dungeons a check, even if it's a small one, just to potentially find something. So
Absolutely. And Pod has historically always had something just because there's what, six treasures that are available. So absolutely not a
five, but,
problem.
but
Five,
still,
yeah.
but still a lot. Nothing in the Death Mountain Moldorm Cave. For
We're
a
hoping for those. Yeah, hoping
yeah,
for those three swords again.
probably going to be making his way up towards Hera here. Gonna very quickly clear that dungeon. He does have a means to clear out every item in it after all, so his next move.
A little surprised we didn't see a Turtle Rock check, at least to see what pendant was required, but I mean, he doesn't have any pendants, so I suppose it doesn't matter which one it is. He needs to get something first.
Yeah, and he might check that after this, because I think he might have to do the Spiral Cave as well, so he might do that, go up there and check the Dark Death Mountain stuff.
Meanwhile, Pags is on his way up to Death Mountain, but doesn't have the hook shot. Has not checked that peg cave yet, so I mean, it'll put him a little bit behind.
Yeah, and if you remember, the mirror is still in that library ledge with no boots to be found, so check any locations up here. I think just like 2 or 3 and some of those.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Rick picking up the book on his way to checking the basement and Tower of Hera, so he'll be able to dip out and check that ether tablet right away. Or no, no sword.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he'll be able to check it at the very least, but he won't be able to get the item that's there. And another important check that the book will do is the pedestal check as well, so we can potentially see that in the future as well.
Pag's on his way to check and get this ice rod, so he'll have ice rod, fire rod, the Cane of Samaria, Titan's Glove, Titan's Mitts, and the Hammer. Maybe a Turtle Rock check from Pags once he can get over there.
Yeah, I mean, he will still need a medallion first, but I found a lot of medallions, especially the one for Turtle Rock, in that hookshot cave. It seems like that's something that always seems to happen for me.
Certainly, it's felt like it's been an increasing. I'm sure the logic doesn't dictate that it absolutely has to be there or that there's a higher probability, but it sure feels that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Where it's like, okay, well, I can't do Turtle Rock right now. Thank God, I don't have to worry about this. Then you immediately get the medallion right next to it, and you're like, okay, well, I guess I am doing this now.
Well, I guess Pags can't even get there because you need either the mirror or the hookshot at this point, and he has neither.
True, so.
Oh, we're gonna check the witch, see what the mushroom is gonna give, and I don't know if they checked Zora while we were out, but that'll be interesting. So, drugs for what?
Yeah, it does seem like their rupee counts are still pretty large, but I mean, they've probably picked up a couple of 300 rupee chests, so Zora may have been done. In fact, there's 100 rupees right there. And so this may be a Zora check right here.
Yep, Pag's heading that direction, so looks like he's feeling like he's running out of areas, but that hook shot, the longer that it takes him to get there, the longer AdirondackRick will have a bit of an advantage.
I think right now, like, again, still way too early to call, but I think a big determining factor is when they'll kind of do the cross check where Rick will get the fire rod if he checks Palace of Darkness, while DSpags, if he goes over to that peg cave to get the hook shot. I think that'll be whoever goes to their respective location first, I think will have definitely an advantage going into the next part of this seed.
Absolutely. AdirondackRick picking up the Bloomerang with his second crystal. Meanwhile, Pags is getting a little bit of love from Zora.
Is Pags going to do next? Where he might be kind of heading back in that area. He might actually finish Skull Woods, too. He does have the fire rod now, after all.
Yeah, I mean, I believe they got both items out of Skull Woods, so it's not necessarily items that you'd be looking for, but it's just the crystal.
And that might also just kind of put him in the mindset of, okay, well, is there any other item down here in Village of Outcasts I haven't got yet? And that'll put the the hook shot in his hands.
That would be a pretty big play by Pags right now. We might also see him if he goes up that way for a pedal. Well, no, he doesn't have the book, so he can't do a pedestal check.
Yeah. Arrow Cave, we have just an arrow capacity upgrade.
Yep, it does look like Pags is on his way up to do Mothula, possibly, with Fighter Sword and the Fire Rod. That'll be kind of a rough fight there, but he does have half magic, so it'll be a little bit easier.
And, you know, it's kind of like they had to do with Blind. Hammer could also work against Mothula as well. Will take less hits using the hammer, but again, much like Blind, it's a very small hitbox, so what he utilizes. Rick is checking out what used to be called the Super Bunny Cave, which I think it's just because you see the Moon Pearl a lot earlier, but I never really see Super Bunny being utilized in
No, I mean, it's a little bit tricky of a. Oh, and there's Bombos.
Ooh, so. Bombos. That could... I wonder if that's the medallion for Turtle Rock.
You know, you called it if it absolutely is.
Actually open up Ice Palace for Rick as well.
Yep, and chat pointing out I need a correction. There was only one item that they found in Skullwoods. The other one was firelocked, so my mistake there.
But Pags will be picking that up, and sure enough, Bombos was, I believe, the medallion on Turtle Rock. Pags does get the hook shot in a little bit after he finishes up Skull Woods. If he goes up to Death Mountain, he could make the Turtle Rock gamble.
He could. He still
It
has to
does.
go over and get that hook shot first, though.
Yeah, exactly. Which the Turtle Rock gamble doesn't really feel like that much of a gamble in version 26 because it always seems to have something.
It really doesn't. Meanwhile, Rick looks like he's on his way over to check Spike Cave.
Hmm.
And Pags found Quake in Skullwoods. Okay.
Medallions, Ether Medallion is still out there, but they may not need it. It depends on what Misery Mire is going to end up being. Her sword Mothula is going pretty well. Got a lot of hearts to sustain damage with, and yep, that half magic definitely gave him a pretty easy kill right there.
Meanwhile, Pags picking up his second crystal there. What's the call? If you were each of these players, which play would you make next? Because we're at a good point here.
I don't know if it's just because like I know what the correct play is right now, but honestly, being in the area of Skull Woods, I'd be thinking, well, what items in this area and in Village of Outcasts have I not tackled yet? Could I maybe tackle them very quickly and see what they might potentially have? Or do I potentially move towards a dungeon like Ice Palace, for example, where he has the Fire Rod, he can definitely get into most of it, or he may be able to do it without hookshot. I know there is kind of a tricky situation with hookshot where there is a room that requires it, but if you know some tech and just the layout of the dungeon, you don't necessarily need it. But yeah, I'd say probably either just checking out the items around here or potentially making the gamble on a dungeon that you can do some work in, even if it's not a lot.
Yeah, if I didn't know that Hookshot was in the Peg Cave, I think I would probably end up checking out Ice Palace. Just because that feels, I mean, the things to enter, you need to enter it are either Fire Rod or Bombos, Flippers, and the Power Glove. And you have all three.
Oh, okay. It looks like Pags is making what is the correct play right here. Getting that hook shot in just a minute after he pounds all of these pegs.
Rick picking up his sword.
Ooh, okay, so there's another sword location up, another sword upgrade location.
And the key is on the torch, so Big Key is locked behind the boots.
Yeah, but he had to get those boots eventually anyway for that mirror, so a huge loss. Confirming what he does need to get still. Doing that same play that DSpags just did in finishing up Mothula.
Not necessarily a bad play if you do it. He just still doesn't have Fire Rod yet, unfortunately.
It's true, but he also, well, okay, he's opening the portal first. Was like he could have checked Pedestal right here too.
Yeah, I was going to say it would be a real nice time for a pedestal check if we had the mirror.
Oh, but okay, no, I guess he's going for blacksmith, or maybe even purple chest. I'm not entirely sure of all that he's checked. Round of technical difficulties, but I guess we'll find out.
No, looks like he already checked Jeremiah. He's just got the lunchbox now.
I'm definitely very interested to see what Rick's next play is going to be. We know that definitely entering Palace of Darkness would be a good move for him, since he'd be able to get the sought-after Ice Rod that will... Oh, yeah, that's right. He couldn't even do Skullwoods because he didn't have the Fire Rod yet. So
Yep. So, I
Palace
mean,
of Darkness will be a good move for him.
it feels like his only play left is going to be a dive into Pod right at the moment.
Or Ice
Although,
Palace.
yeah, he could get an Ice Palace because he has Bombos. Where's Rick going? Oh, did he never
Probably.
check Agony?
I don't think so. No, because I think he's saving Quit out of Desert. Oh, wait, I didn't check this yet. He did.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Pag's heading over to Tower of Hera.
Mm-hmm. His third crystal. Rick, what is going to be your next move?
Looks like he's
Either Pod or Ice Palace. He's going down, so I think this is the Ice Palace play.
Can't say this is necessarily a bad play, because if you can get in there, some of these longer dungeons do have some interesting items locked behind them.
Yeah, and especially when you're looking for the boots as it is. Boots being here could be a very, very big thing for him.
Absolutely. These early calls sometimes are the make or break ones, and you might have been just holding out waiting for that sword to be able to get all the way through.
Yeah. And you do not want to deal without a sword, because even though Fighter Sword Cold Stare can be a rough fight, if you have nothing, then you have to do either pull out the hammer and work with that very small hitbox, or just hope you have bottles filled with magic, which no bottles have been found in this seed yet. So
that is incredibly interesting that no bottles have been found so far. Sick Kid could have quite a bit, really.
True. Upgrade in here too. Very cool that the penguin enemies go down in one shot with the hook shot. Those things I didn't actually know when I was playing this game as a kid, and when I learned that later on in life, I was like, wow, these rooms could have been a lot easier if I knew
that. Yeah, that's about the only thing that I think would say that I could actually do these rooms, is knowing that hook shot really did help kill those things in one hit. Because otherwise, Fighter Sword with the Pen Gators is just not fun.
It's really, really bad.
This will also be interesting with about to do this bomb jump, depending on how Rick lines it up. Some people line up the bomb jump with the shadow. Other people line it up with where the sword is. And Fighter Sword is thinner, so if he's used to lining it up with the sword, then he might struggle a little bit here.
That's definitely the way I like using the height of the sprite for this particular jump, just because, yeah, because if you don't have the right sword, then it's going to definitely throw you off quite a bit.
Rick struggles a little bit, but gets it eventually after the third one. Meanwhile, Pag's on his way to his Moldorm fight.
He'll get his third crystal, and then probably rest of what Death Mountain and Death Mountain have to offer. His second sword upgrade at some point. I think the other sword upgrade was up here.
Yeah, I think it was in one of the Dark World caves.
In Desert. No, because yeah, DSpags got his in
Desert.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
We're just really off today. Still feels like we're playing catch up a little bit emotionally here, and not getting into a good rhythm.
Ice Palace still kind of coming up empty a little bit, but I kind of like the key setup that Rick has right here because he will be able to check out this other half of Ice Palace without too much difficulty.
Meanwhile, Pags checked out the Ether tablet, and it was just a little bit of love, so nothing of value there. While he's getting ready to go over to check the Dark World.
Yes. I was just going to say that, or add anyway, that because Rick did the bomb jump, he did definitely open up the doors for a very quick access to Cold Stare. But when you're in a mode like this where you need to full clear ice to look for items, it can make the layout of Ice Palace a little tricky just because you have those pegs kind of blocking those doors and it can just kind of, oh, there's a bottle finally.
Bottle with some blue goo. That'll be very handy.
Here too, because then he can.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be really nice.
Well, you already have half magic, and now you have a bottle of blue goo, so you'll probably end up he doesn't have fire rod.
He does have the cape, so at the very least he has that to kind of keep him safe a little bit if he needs to finish off what left of Cold Stare he has.
Yep, it's still kind of an interesting fight with no fire rod, no fire rod, fighter sword, Cold Stare. Oh my gosh, I'm getting a headache thinking about it.
Yeah, it's still going to be a rough fight regardless, but he does have some options with that blue goo. Even if it's just for health restore, it's a good thing to have. The last chest that he has for ice, walking through that locked door.
Which always seems really weird.
That's the thing. The developers never intended for that to be done that way.
You mean we're breaking the game with a bomb jump? What? Oh, and we just had a check, and I did not see what it was for Turtle Rock.
Like, we knew that when Rick was up there.
Okay.
Last item, Rick will be making his way to Cold Stare. Very interesting and very hyped fight. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this is going to go.
Yep, we did happen to see Rick do an interesting practice round before everything started with Cold Stare, but not with the fighter sword, so this will be a really interesting fight.
He does have that Bombos medallion, so as soon as he enters that fight, he can just get rid of Cold Stare's icy shell immediately, and then start working on those 3 eyeball heads.
Yep, this is going to be a real hype fight, and he's pulling out his hammer, and he's going to hammer strat it. This ought to be good.
I mean, the hammer does do tempered sword damage, so like 1 hammer strike on all 3 of them too, so that is a very good start.
Absolutely. Looks like he's doing well. Meanwhile, Pag's getting disappointed in Spike Cave.
And he is not making the play to check Turtle Rock, so do next. He could be going to Ice Palace as well.
Looks like he's at least heading that direction. No, he's going to Desert.
Okay.
Well, we'll see him pick up his Master Sword then.
Ooh,
Man, what a long fight. He's got one of them down.
yeah, just 2 more to go. Bringing out the cape. Honestly, not. He has a lot of damage on him, so this may not be too bad. He got the double strike right there.
Between the cape, and he's going to bring it down and then get out his blue goo.
Happening, though. I think he already used his blue goo. Health. Oh, and he gets it.
Oh,
He
wow.
gets it. All right. Yes. All right. Good.
Fighter Sword, no Fire Rod, Cold Stare. Well done, AdirondackRick. Well done, sir.
Definitely. And honestly, like this would be a very good time to point this out. But definitely follow our runners here because they are putting on quite the show for you guys, and they're both really, really solid people too. So definitely check them out whenever you have some time. They seriously are putting on a very interesting race for you guys.
Now, another interesting fact to point out is Thieves Town and Ice Palace were Crystals 5 and 6, so that fairy is available to Rick right at the moment.
And it could have some worth too.
At this point in time, we're still waiting on Rick to make the play on the Fire Rod, but otherwise, still waiting on those boots in order to get the mirror. And that would effectively be go mode, I'm hesitant to say. Unless, well, we don't quite know what's on. Oh, we need the flute too, don't we?
Going to be required, and again, we don't know what Myers medallion. It could be Ether for all we know, so there's still quite a bit open to us. We just have to find either the boots or the flute or even both. I'll check out Zora right here because I don't think he did that earlier. DS did, but not Rick.
Nope, they made the plays. We just knew that there wasn't anything of value there, unfortunately. So Pags looks like he might be on his way to Ice Palace, perhaps.
Going to be his call right here. Yeah, I think that's where he's going because I think he also got Ice Cave alongside Rick. So
yeah,
that's
kind of an interesting route to get there, but a route.
A route that's a little more out of the way. It still kind of gives you some time to think, kind of give you some thoughts about, okay, well, after I do this, and if this doesn't really give me anything that I need, what would be my next move? So it's kind of times a nice leisurely a stroll around the map could be very helpful.
Real quick, shout out to J-Lo and Icon, also runners in this absolutely stacked Group H group. You guys are in chat, and we see you trolling around there, seeing what else your competitors are doing.
Competition.
We call it scouting, I think.
Okay, that's fair. Mags will have a little bit of an easier time with Ice Pal since he does have the Master Sword, but still, like, the Master Sword will require a lot of hits on Cold Stare even then, so.
Yep, Rick looks like, where's he off to? Oh, maybe he's checking. No, he's not.
I think he is going to pod right now, and that would be a very, very good check for him right now.
Yes, it would, because we do know that's where the Fire Rod is, and that's about the only thing that's locking him out of, for example, Turtle Rock.
And now that I'm remembering, the other sword upgrade was in Palace of Darkness because that was right when we came back from the technical difficulties. So Rick will probably be very excited to see that Master Sword as well when he grabs that.
Absolutely. So we are at an hour and 11 minutes in. We have three crystals so far from both of our runners. The difference being Adirondack Rick does have crystal 5 and 6 from Ice Palace and Thieves Town. Meanwhile, Pags only has one of those from Thieves Town, but does have Skull Woods cleared out. So really still anybody's race at this point.
Yeah. A Fire Rod in Palace of Darkness, it is looking very likely like Turtle Rock is once again going to be the gatekeeper of the rest of this seed.
Do you remember the seeds that weren't really all that long ago where people were actively able to hold off Turtle Rock until the absolute end so they can loop that in with Tower of Ganon?
Were definitely the days, but those days are long gone.
Absolutely. I'm so sad about that.
I don't know. I'm definitely someone who's the tediousness that version 26 has brought in a lot of the rando runners. I'm actually someone who appreciates the trolly nature of version 26. I kind of like the idea of making gambles on dungeons early, even if you can't finish them, because honestly, like, there shouldn't be that many biases when it comes to randomizer. It's randomizer for a reason. They got to be all over the place in terms of item collection, and I try to embrace it, and I've honestly been having a lot of fun with this particular version just because of that, because I've embraced that trolliness and that randomness, and it's honestly made the randomizer even more fun for me.
Yeah, I mean, while I, as a player, I'll certainly agree with you. It's been more fun, I think, right now in Randomizer as a player than I think I've ever had. Particularly since progressive items came into place. Rick picking up his fire rod, being happy there. Um, just knowing that there's some logic to the game and it's going through, and really any play that you make is a viable play that you could make it as long as you're getting some chests in some order, um, in some regularity. That really helps the flow of the game, and knowing that any play that you make could be the right play.
Exactly. And I think that, okay, I probably won't be making very many PBs under this current logic, but I mean, that's fine.
Oh no, yeah, the days of the PBs are gone. Well, they could be. You never know.
Again, like you said, like with the idea of items being in any potential location, like sometimes you will run into that one goes your way from the very beginning to the very end, and it will end up being a really good PB, but you just have to go through a lot of trolliness at first, and you can't have too many high expectations of how a seed's going to go.
Absolutely. Rick got his last items backing out of there. Really a very quick pod to pick up his items there. Pags got his blue goo.
To the end, Rick is, I guess, gonna finish up the dungeon now. Okay. He's checking Sick Kid first.
No, absolutely. If you're in this area, I mean, it's your first bottle that you get. You're hoping something important's hidden behind Sick Kid.
Yeah.
Those stairs trolling Pags there for a bit. And just $20 from the Sick Kid saying, please, thank you for my cough medicine.
Here's the money I got from mowing the lawn last week, so. So now Rick is probably going to finish off Skullwoods, and after that, seeing a play on Turtle Rock. That is the game is telling our runners to do at this point.
Well, we'll have a Turtle Rock play, but we also have the Fat Fairy. So I'd be interested to see if they check Fat Fairy before they go up north.
I honestly would have probably made that choice as well, just because they do give you the 5 and 6 crystals relatively early. Maybe not early, but like considering there's still many more crystals to go and you get those, it's like it could be telling you that, hey, there's probably something in that fairy pool.
Absolutely. Pag's getting through Cold Stare much, much quicker with that Fire Rod. So he's one crystal up, at least for the time being, on Rick.
Mm-hmm. Crystal very, very soon. A little stroll to the ending here. What DS is going to gamble on right here? He is going to Death Mountain, so this could be the Turtle Rock play right here.
Oh, and Rick getting trolled by the door. The first lamp going out quickly.
He does right here, where he tries to light the 2 middle torches once, as opposed to using 2 shots from the fire rod.
Streamy sauce. Yes, we've been discussing that, and just letting you know, with both Cold Stare and Blind being down, those are crystals 5 and 6. They could make a quick play to see if there's anything on the Pyramid Fairy.
That is very true. Although I do kind of understand DSpags' thought process here, just because actually 2 items that could progress the seed in its current state. So he could be thinking, well, progress, and there's a possibility where if it does have one, it may not have the other one. So I can complete Turtle Rock completely at this point. I may as well just bite the bullet, get it done, see if there's anything here. And if there is, then I'm lucked out. If not, I can just very quickly check Pyramid Fairy once I'm done with this. So.
Yep, and Flaffy, our tracker, making a point out, if it has either boots or flute, it opens up mire or swamp, respectively. So certainly a solid play to make there.
Got his 4th crystal. They're now tied up in crystal count yet again. And honestly, like, it is really, really close at this point. Like, I mean, DSpags did get a little bit of a jump into Turtle Rock first, but still, it is very close. And it looks like Rick might be checking the Pyramid Fairy before he goes up to Death Mountain. So,
yep, can't say either play is particularly wrong. I mean, just different strategies for them.
That's one thing you got to remember with Randomizer. It's not necessarily a bad play. It's definitely not a bad play, but one of the plays could potentially be wrong. There's a huge difference between a bad play and a wrong play. Wrong is just like, well, okay, there was nothing here. And bad play, very, very subjective in terms of how you use it anyway.
Now, Rick changing his mind, not heading up to Double Chested Fairy, and instead going to make his Death Mountain climb for Turtle Rock.
Mm-hmm. Will definitely even up things a little more. I'm not really sure of all the overworld checks that the runners have done. Like, I don't know if they've done the same exact things. DSpags probably didn't do the blacksmith or the purple chest like Rick did, so
but
that could be
what are those? DPags pulling the boots.
That is very, very nice. That will give him his mirror later and the ability to finish Desert if he wants to see what that green pendant is and check out the other item that's in there. A good item to get.
Yep, it's definitely a good pull. Pag's getting trolled a little bit by these chain chomps.
Chain chomps, I'm convinced they probably do the most damage in the entire game.
It certainly feels like it, and they're so trolly. They can block so much stuff.
Is heading over that way to Turtle Rock.
Yep, check an ether tablet on his way. Certainly, he wasn't able to check it before because he didn't actually have a sword when he cleared Hera the first time.
Yeah, that's right. Wondering if now that boots very soon, and we'll need to use those boots to get the mirror that's in the library. Be a trolley item in the Mimic Cave.
Oh, I think our chat's going to be rooting for that. I mean, I'm rooting for it, and I'm not.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, logic goes the way that the runners are hoping for at this point. It could be a very linear C to the end. That is potentially our last major chance for a troll of some kind having an item in that Mimic Cave.
So, I mean, that's an interesting call. At what point are you checking every other item? And if you don't, I mean, at what point do you turn around and say, okay, I have to go back and check that Mimic Cave? If you don't turn around as soon as you get the boots here.
That's a very tough call. I mean, that's definitely a case where it's like, well, that's such an out of the way location. Any other location is closer by proxy. So it would probably end up being like the last chest I would check in that case.
Alvy in chat saying flute at Mimic. I support this.
A flute could be there. The ether medallion, if it's necessary for Meyer, could be there.
Even better, shovel, which leads to flute, could be there.
Yeah, can't forget about those fetch quest items too. So, DSpags is almost at the end of Turtle Rock. There are 4 chests that he will most likely be checking on the laser bridge coming up here. Another good opportunity for items to be here.
Absolutely. We know at least one of them is going to end up being a key, but these others, bombs. Flute!
Okay.
Map, and then the last one will be the key.
But okay. We still don't know for sure if this is go mode because it really depends on what that medallion is for Meyer, but that he could be in go mode. Could.
So it's go-ish mode right now.
Go-ish mode, yeah, and of course he has to pick up the mirror too, but they know where that is, so that's not a big deal.
Yep, chat's pointing out if this is true, Rick is just a little bit behind, so it'll come down to execution, unless Meyer is ether and they have to go hunting for it, and then it comes back down to risks and gambles you're making. Otherwise, yeah, Rick's a little bit behind at this point.
Still, like, I mean, with all this going on, and like they took a lot of different routes through the beginning of the game and also kind of through the middle section. The fact that they're this close just is a tribute to how good and how on their game both runners are. It really did come down to that cross check I was talking about earlier, like with the fire rod and hook shot. Whichever runner got that one item first, they would definitely have a bit of a lead or an advantage going into the seed at that point.
Absolutely. And Pag's having a bit of problem with Trinex. Got a lot of ice on the floor right now.
Next skating rink strikes again. Other head down. He just has to strike Trinex a few hits on the head and the middle section, and he should be good.
Struggling a little bit here with Trinex as Rick is making his way through.
The hammer hitbox being very, very small and very difficult to work with, but it does the damage when it connects.
Picking up the compass and his 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth crystal. So Meyer and Swamp Palace are all that's left. He has the boot, so he can now get the mirror to go to Swamp Palace. Is that going to be the most logical first move there?
Actually, to me, I think that Meyer would be the first logical step to go because first to see what that medallion is, because you don't want to go through all of Swamp Palace and go mode and then all of a sudden realize, oh, I don't have the medallion yet for Meyer. So I'd first check that out, see what it is. If I can complete it, I'd go ahead and complete it, and then I'd go mode Swamp Palace very, very quickly, get that over with, and that will probably be the I imagine that'll be the play for DSpags, but we'll have to see what happens.
Meanwhile, picking up Everyone Rise for the Swag Duck Anthem.
It is actually a good point. I don't think Pedestal was checked yet, so
No, they haven't had the mirror to be able to check it.
Yeah, and I don't imagine that'll be checked. Maybe after the Meyer check here, if that is where DSpags is going next. He does have the flute, so that's what it looks like. In the mirror first, yeah, of course, yeah, that's right there. You want to pick that up too.
Only slightly required.
Yeah, you kind of need that. Now, after this, we'll probably see the Meyer check.
Yep, and immediately pulling that flute out, doing the smart move, going down there to Meyer.
We'll see what that medallion is. Oh, Rick using the wrong rod. Understand though, it's just like I want to get this fight over with, and I think that was Quake, so I think we are good.
So that's officially go mode then.
The one thing that would probably still help, though, and that's probably DSpags is probably going to check a few chests here and there just to make sure. But it would be nice to get another sword or even silvers, because Master Sword Ganon without silvers can be a pain.
Absolutely. We're talking 24 spins on Ganon for Master Sword Silverless Ganon.
Yeah, so I can definitely see why DSpags is checking a few locations, because if he can get something, one of those two things, he'll probably feel a lot better about progressing through the rest of the seed. And Rick takes down Trinex. Got pretty low on health there, but did it just fine. I did all that practice on bosses before the stream to make sure that he was ready for him, and yeah.
Yep, worked out fine. So Rick is about at this point, what would you say, a minute and a half, 2 minutes behind Pags?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably the amount of time, because yeah, he'll have to save and quit, activate the flute, get the mirror, and then yeah, he'll essentially be on the same wavelength as Pags. So this is very, very close.
I mean, it might come down to a left side, right side gambit on either of these players. I mean, it's
Sure.
that close right now.
Yeah, that is very, very true. Wondering if they'll. I mean, there's a pretty good chance they'll run into another sword upgrade in Ganon's Tower. There's 2 of those left, and that has a lot of chests to check. But if they don't, that could also mean a lot too. Like a fall on Ganon or a death to Ganon, getting so deep into that Master Sword Silverless fight, that can make all the difference. Alerted the guards. Rick did not have to check Sick Kid like DSpags did, so saved a little bit of time there. Yep. Rick is also going to Meyer, making the same play. He will find out very, very shortly that he is also in go mode. And we have a race. We'll have a race for us, everybody. This is going to be very, very entertaining. It'll definitely come down to execution. And if they do want to make the gamble on trying to find those last sword upgrades or the silvers, could come down to very precise routing checks as well. So this is going to be a very, very, very good race for the last probably 20 minutes or so, give or take.
Yeah, it shouldn't take too much longer. Both runners very proficient. Expecting both to see a sub 2 hour run. There's Ether that we were looking for earlier.
Well, we are in super go mode now. No, there's still a lot of items I'd say before we're in super go mode, but filling up that inventory.
So, Slim Kirby, talk to me. What do you think was the differentiating factor so far in this race? The thing that allowed Pags to get just a little bit, even though it's a small lead, but get the lead in this race so far.
It was definitely when he made the peg check for the hook shot, because having that hook shot allowed him to cover so much more ground. He had a better sword upgrade for he got to that point. So really just having fights than what Rick had definitely gave him the small bit of an edge time-wise. Because I imagine if Rick got that fire rod just a little bit earlier, he's been playing a pretty linear game since that point. So Rick would have had a defining lead, while I think it was really just that boss fight, that cold stare fight by itself was probably about the difference in the time that these runners have right now.
Yeah, but really felt that if Rick would have just gone into pod a little bit sooner to get that fire rod, then this would have been a whole different game. His fight with Cold Stare would have been a story of night and day. And Pags doing that and then following it up with getting that hook shot with which Rick had sooner, but still checking and getting those value items early in the run.
Yeah, for sure. And I just feel like because of that, as far as overworld checks, DSpags has had less of them than what Rick has had. So yeah, just that small differentiation of just routing and getting certain items is what's making the change of lead right now. Again, there's still more race to go for sure, but that's definitely the big thing.
Now, I will say this is interesting. While Pags is in go mode, he's still checking all the chests and doing a full clear. Not necessarily a full clear, because we saw him skip some other chests that were a little bit out of the way, but he's in go mode and he's still clearing quite a few chests out of the way. So maybe trying to get that either tempered sword or silver somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I imagine he's doing right now, just trying to drag those out if he can. Honestly, I don't blame him. I would personally maybe take the gamble that there could be some in Ganon's Tower, and at the very worst case scenario, if you do make it to the Ganon fight. He does tell you where the silvers are, so you do have that fail-safe of kind of knowing where they might be at. You can get them really quick. It is a time sink, but it just comes down to like how you want to route the rest of the chests that are remaining to find those very helpful items for those fights or not. So
in the meantime, Rick could end up making up some time if he ends up being more comfortable with Silverless Master Sword and Ganon. Not that anyone's, practiced that a whole lot, but
yeah,
if you are more comfortable with that run, that you could make up some time here.
Comfort and Master Sword Silverless Ganon belong in the same sentence, but yeah, I do get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. Dark Falls does make a good point. I think Rick did have a more clean Trinex fight, so it did kind of even it out there a little bit. But yeah, as you can see, Pags is in the Vitreous fight right now, and Rick is checking a few more locations, get the big key. He's probably going to start heading towards Vitreous as well, so he did make up a little bit of time.
Pags
some ground to go, but he
dash strats here on Vitreous in the meantime.
I love using dash
magic.
strats. I love doing dash strats for that.
It's been a long time since I've used dash strats. I've had silver arrows for my last, I think, 4 or 5 randomizer runs, so been a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, silver strats against Vitreous, it's definitely the fastest way to do it. Heck, even using the cape and doing like spin strats, the Vitreous ooze right there is also faster because I believe the dash swords does much less damage than the other methods, but still, it looks cool. You utilize more of your items that way. I just kind of like the swagness of it, I guess. Just dashing right through Vitreous.
Pags, for a split second, enters Desert Palace and then says, "Oh wait, I'm in go mode. I'm out of here."
Hey, this isn't a crystal dungeon.
What was I thinking?
So yeah, DSpags making his way to Swamp Palace. Swamp Palace, I love clearing Swamp Palace in go mode. There might be 1 or 2 chests you'll check along the way, but it'll be a very, very quick dungeon, probably faster than any of the other small White World dungeons they had to cover or look at.
I was going to say, other than Ice Palace, I think the difference between the times in clearing it when you need to do a full clear versus go mode, I think only Ice Palace you can clear. There's a bigger difference in time there.
Okay. Vitreous, and yeah, like Pags was just at Vitreous, like what seemed like a few seconds ago. So Rick is making some really, really good time back here.
Absolutely, it felt like he skipped more chests in Meyer than Pags did, so might be making up a little bit of time here.
And Rick is done, gets his 6th crystal.
Pags, meanwhile, still checking a few items, still trying to get those silvers or the tempered sword.
That's even going to make this race even closer if Rick decides to just do this completely in go mode.
Yeah. Streamy Sauce, thank you. DS kills Vitreous at 1:37.52, where Rick was 1:39.59, so just over 2-minute difference between the two.
Wow. This is incredible. I'm really, really loving this.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. If Pags keeps on checking and Rick skips more chests, he could make up some more this time, and that's going to come right down to execution at the bottom of this.
And once again, I like to point out, please please follow the runners. They're putting an amazing show for us today. Like this race is incredible. I'm so happy I'm getting to commentate this just because it could go any way still. Like it's far from over, definitely.
Absolutely, it's anyone's race right now, and these two runners, like we've been saying all night, Group H is just an absolutely loaded group in the secondary run. So uh, either one of these runners could easily walk away and head to the next rounds of the tournament out of this group. They might both still do it, although I'm sure other people in chat will say differently.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Rick is now in Swamp Palace as well. I'm gonna see. I'm really curious. He's gonna skip that chest.
Yeah, Pag skipped a lot of others, and he's going to check these other chests. The more Rick skips, the better for him.
Just a heart container and rupees. Rick does skip that chest, so.
Yep, Rick is treating this as true go mode and is going as quickly as he can. Yep, at this point, Rick is probably gambling. If there's a sword or silvers, it will be on the way somewhere in Ganon's tower.
And like you have to look at like the current pendant dungeons that we have. I believe all the pendant dungeons were checked for at least something, even if like they missed one item in any of those dungeons. It's still just one item, so they cleared the pendant dungeons very thoroughly. So there's a really, really high chance that Ganon's tower does have one of either the sword upgrades or the silvers. So. Volume
Rick,
locations left.
Meanwhile, Pag's making his way through Argus.
Seen the spin strats against Argus, which I like using in my runs.
Yep, and no payout here. DSpags does have his 7th crystal, while Rick is going to be finishing it off. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are on our way to Ganon's Tower, everyone's favorite game show for Herfy Durfy's love and affection, even though he's not here. Get your guesses in. Where is the Ganon's Tower big key?
Okay, so usually when I make my guesses for Ganon's Tower big key, oh, Rick forgetting that one key over there. I've done that a few times too. He really wants to finish this dungeon. But yeah, my usual guesses for the Ganon's Tower big key is the room past the Ice Armos. So I believe those are like 19, 20, 21. I'll just say 21 in this case.
That's fine. I think I've been going 7 right now, which is the double firebar room if you use standard routing.
Yeah.
Although we have some tile room fans in here.
That seems to be a big guess in this particular tournament. People want to see that last room checked for the big key.
Yep, I always say that chat always wants the seeds and they want to see the seeds that they don't want in their performances at all.
Which I guess is understandable, but I don't know. I try to look at it from a perspective where Ice Armos play into the Ganon Tower check, but it's also kind of at the point where it's like you get to the very end of that route and you're like, oh my gosh, please be here, please be here. And then when it is there, like you can feel the runner's happiness. They don't have to check a tile room or the right side if they didn't go that way. So
absolutely. So Rick finishing off Argus will start his climb on Death Mountain, and it'll be a real quick run here. Both in go mode, about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes at this point for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right side, left side gambles could make the difference here.
Rick going to pick up some potions first. Honestly, not a bad idea. Probably thinking ahead to the prospect of, I might have to do this silverless, so better have as much magic as possible and health as possible. So I can definitely understand that.
Yeah, Rick does have mirror. Cough, Flaffy, cough.
Rick has mirror. Couldn't have beaten Swamp Palace without it, so...
Yeah, and interesting to point out from Icon, yeah, they both dropped a fairy in order to get the blue potion. Ahead! Number 1, first chest, big key.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, wait. Okay, good. He is going that way, because I was almost worried that, oh my gosh, is he going to go up the top without getting to the small key first? But thankfully there is a small key right there, so yeah. Oh, but he's going to check some chests, though. Ooh.
Yeah, this is an interesting risk. I think he's going to... No, he's just going to get a couple keys and then start climbing. So I really hope they weren't counting on checking a ton of chests, because that won't be working out for them right at the moment.
We have kind of an interesting situation here where Rick was kind of gaining ground by not checking chests, but this time he could potentially gain ground by checking like 1 or 2 extras. Because if he does find those silvers or a tempered sword, he'll have a much quicker Ganon fight. It's measuring those odds and those time differences.
It's possible, but then, I mean, doing silverless Master Sword Ganon is a beast unto itself. I mean, it's to the point where it doesn't matter, you know, what the lead is now. It can completely swing over the course of Phase 3 in that fight.
Oh, man. Both also have a second bottle as well. Another one picked up.
Yep. Oh, and uh-oh.
Rick is checking a few more chests. This could be good for him.
Oh, he didn't go to that right side first. He's going full left side. This may be like a reverse Dark Magician strat.
The big key. Ooh. Be, yeah, if he gets a sword right here.
And he gets a sword!
Oh my god, he got a sword!
And he's mirroring out. He's going to check right side. Oh my gosh. This is so big for AdirondackRick.
This is huge. Oh my gosh. And he gets the big key. He's mirroring. He's mirroring right now. Oh my gosh.
This is so big for Rick. Even though Pags is ahead of him right now, he's going to save so much time on Ganon. Now, what could change, I mean, we should temper ourselves, is if Silver Arrows or the other sword is somewhere in those 2 chests between here and there.
Oh my gosh.
This is so hype right now.
This is a dark magician right now. Making a tempered sword appear right out of the last chest where he needed it to.
From thin air. This is just absolutely amazing. And Pags certainly isn't out of it if he can do this would have to be a flawless, but Rick, even though he's about 1.5 minutes to up to 2 minutes behind right now, it's got to be the favorite just because 24 full swings or spins versus 12, that's huge for Ganon.
Yeah. And not just even the first parts of the Ganon's fight, like you have to do sword spins as opposed to sword strikes. That'll also be a much slower process. Thankfully, Pags does have half magic and some potion, I believe, so have something to work with, but it's still much, much longer to get through all of that.
Absolutely. It'll be Oh, it's going to be real rough on Pags to maintain this lead. And if there's anything in these two chests, he might have a shot.
A heart piece, and we have
Oh,
a
and
key.
just a key.
Okay, two
Oh,
chests
this is
left.
going to come down to the wire here.
Last gauntlet room. I hate this room so much.
Oh, yeah, all the ice physics in this game are just absolutely horrible.
Down to very low health, but thankfully he can pick up a fairy right here.
Absolutely, and we'll see how quickly he can get this Landmolus fight done with Tempered as opposed to using the Fire Rod.
Yeah, because he has very low magic right now, and I don't think he wants to use that bottle just yet, which I do not blame him.
Pags making quick work of, and Compass, okay. Meanwhile, the Fireball thing is trolling the heck out of Rick in here.
Goals gave Pags a little trouble in that room, too. Yeah, I got 2 fights.
Oh, I don't know. He's not using Bugnet.
Getting one on his first try, though.
We're very spread out, so it's difficult to line anything up.
The worst patterns are when, like, the real one's on one side and then the fakes are on the other side. So it's like you have to find a way to maneuver your way around so you can somehow hit the blast from the fakes coming towards you and still strike the real one, too. So,
Oh, he's having a real rough time. He has a couple in a row that have missed entirely. But there we go.
Yeah. Also, Rick will have to deal with the same patterns pretty much because with this particular version of Randomizer, since the last tournament, they did add the RNG of the blue balls and the Ganon warps back into it, but it's constant that if you were to approach each of the fights on your first time in a race ROM like this, you'll always have the same patterns in RNG.
Yeah, which is really it's really a good addition. I mean, no one likes blue balls to the face, but we'll deal with it.
Here we go. He is on the Ganon fight. Rick is in the Moldorm room of Ganon's tower.
What are you thinking if you're both of these runners and not seeing a dot done yet? Oh, and Rick takes a fall.
Okay, that is pretty big, but we'll see. Only getting about 2 or 3 hits per swing of the trident here, so all of this in just like 2 cycles. Has been picked up by Rick.
Yep, meanwhile, Master Sword Ganon, my goodness. Very cleanly done in this last room with the conveyor belts.
My God, this is going to be so close.
We could honestly see another tie game, honestly, here, ladies and gents.
Good, I didn't even... Same. Aghanim. Ooh.
Ooh, nothing there. Got electrocuted instead. Still lots of time to make up ground for Rick.
12 strikes versus 24 in the last phase.
Yeah, that's the big difference. 12 strikes versus 24 spins is the real trick.
Here we go. Agatu is down. DSpags still not in 3rd phase yet.
No, Pag's getting through here. It's taking some time. Oh, this is going to be close. This is going to be very close.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All came down to that one chest check.
That reverse dark magician
Yeah.
checking through. Wow.
Pags takes a
And Pags takes a
does
death.
have
Oh,
a
but he has
fairy
a
though.
fairy. Now, Rick, I think, abandoned his fairy in order to be able to pick up blue potions, and I really hope he gets use of blue potion now.
Ooh, okay. Honestly, I do like this play. He will be able to get a few more extra hits in right here. DSpags in the third phase of Ganon now. Ooh!
Ooh, he took. Did he? Does he have? Okay, he has a fairy. Oh,
Fairy.
chat, I relied on you.
Still has the blue. He can, and he's also in phase 3 right
Always
now.
in phase 3. He made up so
Oh.
much time there.
DSpags is in the final phase though, starting this 24 hits. Though he has gotten a few hits in, but
Yeah, I mean, just such a huge difference. And the arrows were in the light world somewhere. Both of them getting the torch glitch going.
be the light arrows were at Mimic Cave.
Oh God, wouldn't that be trolly? Man, this is so much hype. If anyone, I can't even take my eyes off it. Someone get some people from Discord over here. Man, they are
I've already
so
lost
close.
count too.
I know. I do think Rick is ahead a little bit because he's made up some time.
Yeah.
Rick does seem a little bit more practiced in his silverless strats.
I bet the nerves are also getting to both of the runners right now because they are this close and just wondering when that dot done's going to come.
That dot done is, I mean, they are both wondering. It could come at any point in time. My goodness.
Rick missed a couple of torches right there.
Oh, and Rick has him down!
Oh my gosh.
With the come from behind victory, AdirondackRick pulls victory from the jaws of defeat with an amazing reverse dark magician to get that tempered sword.
And yes, his final SRL time in first place is 1 hour, 59 minutes, 22 seconds. GG. Definitely GG.
Yeah.
That was... And well, very soon we'll also see the other dot done too.
And you have to feel for Pags because it all came down to just a simple routing choice. Had he gone just a little bit further and picked up that tempered sword, it would have been a very different race, all things considered.
Yeah. If we can get AdirondackRick in here.
And DSpags, also getting the dot done with an official SRL time of 2 hours and 34 seconds. So it was 1 minute and 12 seconds longer.
Yeah.
I don't think he even knows yet.
Yeah. My gosh, that was...
Congratulations, GG.
Yeah, this was such an amazing race. I'm gonna point this out yet again, but seriously, follow our runners. That was amazing. That was such a great race. Like, in the room right now, we have our winner. Congratulations, AdirondackRick. GG.
No, thank you very much.
So let's see if we can get Spags in here right now, because I want to tell you guys at the same time just how close this was and the difference that it made, because it came right down to the wire.
It doesn't surprise me. I was looking at the race here. I mean, looking at past results, and we've been pretty much even. I've won a few, he's won a few, and yeah, I had a feeling this was going to be a tight race.
Well, you had some of your other Group H folks cheering you guys on. Of course, not cheering you on that much. They were hoping for you both slip and break your knees or something, so you'd be out. But oh yeah, as soon as we get Spags in here, my goodness, you will not believe. I just want to hear your responses.
I know one response of mine. I'd love to have that Aghanim fight back.
Yeah.
Aghanim was rough, I think, for both of you. And GG, DSpags, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
So here's what made up the difference. Pags, you ended up doing kind of a standard route where you started on the right side, first chest, big key. Got a couple of keys, and then you started climbing Ganon's tower. Rick ended up doing kind of a dark magician strat where he started on the left side, went in until he got to the hookshot area with the 4 chests. One of those chests had tempered sword. And Rick. That was the difference.
I kind of had that feeling when I saw the big key in the first chest on the right-hand side. Like, if I'm going to win this race and it's a close race, that's going to be the difference.
That was completely the difference. Pags was actually, I want to say, about like 2 minutes ahead, and you were still climbing. Like, I think you had just beaten Lomno too by the time he actually entered the Ganon fight. So yeah, just having the difference of the 2 swords is really, really what made the difference in that race. And it was so much fun to watch. It was so entertaining to watch. Everyone in chat was on the edge of their seats wondering who was going to take it, and just both of you were in that final Ganon phase at the exact same time, and it was such a hype finish. That's something you're definitely going to want to watch back when if you decide to watch this VOD back.
Yeah, I'll for sure check it out. Yeah, I think that's actually my first Master Sword Silverlist that I've had to do during a race. Like, I've practiced it a handful of times, just like on an emulator. But I think that's the first time I've had it come up in a race. So my heart was definitely racing that whole fight. I was like, just don't fall. Don't fall.
So, you didn't fall, thankfully.
Yeah, and it looked like that you were, leading up to Ganon's tower. It looked like you were trying to check some extra chests, maybe fish for a tempered or for silvers, or trying to do anything you could. And finally, Ganon's tower hit. You got that early big key, and we're like, well, guess I'm doing Master Sword Silverlist.
Yep. No time like the present.
Yeah. And, like, you honestly, like, I mean, that is such a hard thing to do. Like, getting 24 spin slashes against Ganon, in addition to all the sword spins you have to get before that. Really, really long time, and you handled yourself very, very well. It's just unfortunate that the time it takes for that strategy is kind of the downfall, but still, amazing job. Like, with that fight alone, and then just the entire seat up to that point. But it was a really, really close race, even throughout the whole thing. A lot of you did kind of differentiate your routes at the very beginning, but for the most part, like, it always seemed like at some point you were in the same dungeon at the same time.
The big worry I had, like, I spent a lot of time thinking I was behind when I finally went to Turtle Rock after Ice Palace and found the boots and the flute there. And I was like, there's a strong possibility that Rick, saw we could get in and just went ahead and did Turtle Rock before Ice Palace. And that essentially put us into go mode. So I was like, I thought I was behind that whole time. So
my main thing with Turtle Rock was I had already cleared out all the chests, so I was trying to take care of everything else where the breadcrumbs were going up until then, because the first time I was going up there, I had no sword.
Well, yeah, that's right.
See,
I think I only had the fighter sword the first time I was up there, and that's why I opted not to do it. So,
yeah, the difference between, I think Pags, you ended up going a little bit earlier than Rick. I mean, it was, again, only about a minute and a half difference at that point. The real trick between the two of you is that Pags went early into Pod and ended up getting that fire rod, whereas when Rick was up there the first time, he didn't have the fire rod, so really kind of iffy to go up there at that point in time. Rick ended up having the hook shot first. So it really came down to, we were watching, okay, what would happen first? Would Rick go into Pod, or would Pags end up going to the Peg Cave and getting the hook shot? Once you ended up getting the hook shot, we're like, okay, well, this is, he's got the lead. And it was about a 2-minute difference at that point, and you maintained that up until the very end of Ganon's Tower and into the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's rough to hear, but I knew I was up against a pretty tough opponent. So,
as I was saying before you got in, I was taking a look at our past results, and we were kind of like even. So I had a feeling that this was going to be a close race, and one thing would make the ultimate difference.
Yeah, all three of my races so far in the tournament have been kind of trilly. I think my last race with Icon, like, we didn't have gloves until like an hour into the race, like no lift upgrade, and then of course, Master Sword Silverless here. So
I will say the Trinex fight seemed to give Pags a little bit of trolley trouble there, but any time that you missed was made up with Cold Stare, because poor Rick over here had to do no fire sword, fighter sword, Cold Stare.
Ouch.
No fire rod, fighter sword. Yeah, that was another really fun fight to watch too.
Yeah, that Cold Stare fight, and I love the fact that both my blind and my Cold Stare fights were pretty much right on death's door.
Oh yeah, you definitely came out with those fights in a very clutch finish for sure.
Yeah, my blind fight finished kind of the same way. Like, I tried to have enough magic to do Burna strats, like, for the last two phases, and I ran out with one hit left and was only at 1 heart, and luckily was able to pull it out.
I didn't bother with the burn. I just tried doing it with the Samaria and hammer strats.
Oh, and looking forward, and I guess this is a question for both of you, but in terms of what you went through in this seed, is there anything you're going to change up in terms of your strategy for the next race? Anything you learned from this particular seed that you might try to implement at all?
I think for me, it's going to be work on those bosses some more, because I know one of these races I'm going to come on the other end, on the other side of a loss like this, and it's going to be because of those boss fights.
Yeah, I think practiced a little bit before the race started.
No, absolutely.
Same for me. Just those the Master Sword strats for bosses in general.
What what was going through your guys' mind? It's such an early seed, and you're getting the Moon Pearl, and you're finding all this value early on, and then you see the mirror up there on the top of the bookshelf, and you're just searching around for these boots, and they just aren't there. I mean, everywhere you guys checked, was there ever a panic mode, like, oh god, where am I going to find this? It looked like at one point, I think it was Rick, started going down towards Swamp Palace, but then you're like, oh wait, I don't have the mirror yet.
I think it was at that point my mind was, I wanted to do both the chest and again at the same time type of thing. And I think the other time I kind of just started at the wrong spot. I knew where I wanted to go, I just started at the wrong position.
I would be really interested to go back into the seed and check to see what the Fat Fairy had, because I don't think either of you checked Fat Fairy, and Thieves Town and Ice Palace were among the first 2 dungeons that you guys both had done, but neither of you went up to check that. So curious to see if that would have made a difference.
Was Ice Palace 5 and 6 along with Thieves Town, or was it Mire?
It was Ice Palace.
Okay, so I had them mismarked. That's great.
Yeah, because you guys didn't have access to you didn't have access to Mire until after Turtle Rock when you got the flute. So
Well, now we know why one of our runners didn't go there.
I'm glad nothing was there. I would have been looking forever. So
it could have been a sword upgrade though. That's the thing. Like we don't know. Let's see. Have anything else you need to add, Vatasia, before we?
I forgot. Where exactly was the Silvers again?
It said Light World. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm just going to say Mimic Cave because it just said Light World.
Mimic Cave, King's Tomb, the Graveyard Ledge, Bonk Rocks. Those are the only 4 I didn't check. Oh, south of Haunted Grove.
Yeah, I didn't check any of those either, so I can't narrow it down at all for you. And then I had the shovel spot still as well because I didn't find the shovel anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you were both kind of right there. You followed each other's footsteps and mirrored each other very well. It was just one of those races that we're all on the edge of our seats going, oh! And we're hoping and praying, and it was such great. So thank you again, chat. If you have not, please, AdirondackRick and DSpags, follow these guys on Twitch. Also, our wonderful tracker, Flaffykins, and our wonderful restreamer, Clifford. These guys have put in a ton of work for you guys. Great job. Also, my co-hosts, Slim Kirby, I myself, Vatasia. We do have some more randomizer action on the main channel later tonight at 11 Eastern. Space Cowboy 2011 versus Lugaroo on Speed Gaming, the original. So still plenty of action tonight if you're into the rando like the rest of us are.
There's a lot of matches coming up, a lot of races. It'll be going on for weeks and weeks. So if you love this randomizer action, there'll be plenty more to come for sure. So definitely check out that schedule. I'll go ahead and get that up here. You can see the schedule for both tournaments, both the main and secondary. You can see the current progression of the tournament as well. Just a lot of randomizer action for you guys.
And with that, we'll go ahead and get out of here. Just signing off from Randomizer Mania. My name's Vatasia.
Hey, thanks guys for restreaming.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Both of you. Good